All right, we are green. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in our gun world, our beautiful country, how we're going to fix both of those things together. Guys, I've never seen us more united than where we are right now in the Second Amendment space, and GOA just dropped a video that thoroughly pegs the NFA in the tax category. They are taking no prisoners. And you're going to see this a lot more. I'm going to walk you through this entire thing, but this week, coming week, it starts. I hope you guys' engines are ready. I hope you had about a 5 to 7 day nice rest from those calls, emails, and overall sharing everything, because the fight is about to go from 0 to 1,000. And this is a hell of a way to start it. So, if you are new here or you're returning, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. We've got some freedom to spread, and every time that you do it, a gun controller's tears drop from their eyes in an uncontrollable fashion. And you know how we love some tyranny tears over here on this channel. So, guys, make sure you do that. You are spreading that freedom every time you do, and I appreciate each of you an immense amount. And a special thanks to our to our sponsor for this video, Valorous TV, guys. This is free. It's in the description box below. It's a YouTube channel. It's all about documentaries and feature films of patriotic wartime actions from Revolutionary War to World War II. It's free. When you get tired and you are weary from kicking all the tyranny in the teeth, as we mentioned, go on over there. There's a link in the description, and refill that patriotic cup in order to come back and continue to commence with the kicking of tyranny teeth. Right there, Valorous US, right in the description box. And thank you to them for making this content possible. Let's get to the crux of the issue for this video. Beautiful people, listen. We are coming into a point right now where the drums of war are going to start sounding again, because this coming week, the Senate is returning, and all the politicking and all the gamesmanship and all the BS you've been getting little glimpses of is going to start to bubble to the surface. And we're going to push the SHORT Act through, and we're going to keep the Hearing Protection Act, doing things like I'm about to show you right here. So make sure you follow me at X, at Braden LOA, because this is how we get to spread things like this original content we're creating, comparing the gun controllers in NFA 1934 to the gun controllers in 2025. All the original content, of which the entire point of this premise is built around identifying the NFA as a tax. This is going to be the fight that you're going to see. This is what you guys are going to need to spread out everywhere. All the content that is orienting towards identifying the tax that is the NFA to you a workaround of our rights, it's paramount. And the reason why is all in the Senate. It's the Byrd rule. All right, I'm going to show you a little bit of this from GOA. They put out a banger of a video for this. And like I said, we're all taking no prisoners, and it's time to start sharing some stuff. Let's get to it. I got some timestamps. First one for you guys starts at 44 seconds. I think we are right. We are good. Let's get it.
With the House passing their version of the Budget Reconciliation Bill, aka the Big Beautiful Bill, it's time to talk about what to expect in the Senate. Currently, the House version of the bill only includes the Constitutional Hearing Protection Act, which deregulates suppressors. But GOA is also pushing for the Senate to include the SHORT Act, which would remove SBRs, SBSs, and AOWs from the NFA, protecting short-barreled firearms like pistol-braced ARs. We're working with our allies in the Senate, like Senator Crapo and Senator Marshall, to add the SHORT Act to the Senate version of the bill when they start their bill process in the next few weeks.
All right, so I got 2 more timestamps I want to show you guys from this video, because again, they held nothing back, and it's glorious how they're laying out the path, okay? Because we've been doing the same thing from a different perspective on this channel. What you're looking at right now is the Senate allies in the Senate for GOA starting to add in the SHORT Act and preserve the Hearing Protection Act. Now, I've said a few different times what's going to go into this, and there's going to be a lot more times I'm going to say it, because it's crucially important. They have to preserve the Hearing Protection Act, which odds are very good, because the Republicans would have to actually remove it themselves, which wouldn't make a lot of sense, because it has the support, and you have the majority, and it was a Republican provision. The other part to that is it's got to get past the Byrd rule, which we're going to get into in a second. That's why this is so crucially important that this is identified as a tax. It's a tax. Tax. Because a tax item gets through the Byrd rule. All right? GOA is doing some really, really good work on this, as well as I know you guys are spreading out. We are on this team together. Let's get it. All right, 118 to 154 on this timestamp. Let's catch up.
In case you missed our previous videos on budget reconciliation, this is our best opportunity to win major pro-gun victories and deal a blow to the NFA, because the bill can't be filibustered, meaning it only takes 51 votes to pass in the Senate. The other quirk of this bill is that everything added to the bill must be budget related. And you might be asking, how do we decide if something is related to the budget? Well, That's where the Byrd rule comes in. The Byrd rule is a Senate-specific procedure that allows a senator to question whether or not bill text is relevant to budgetary changes. This is also known as raising a point of order. This process allows senators to remove text if it is not relevant to the bill. But who decides?
Right. And I encourage you guys to go in the description box and look at this video, because it actually goes through the 5 different stages that are required to make sure it passes this rule, which we're going to hit in other videos coming up, but they just put it out as well. So the entire point here, and the reason that we're hitting this so hard, is because as you see this week coming forward, you're going to see all the creators on the 2A space, you're going to see all the gun rights groups, they're all going to orient the narrative that it is a tax, because it is. That's why for the last week, we put forward those documents from 1934 when we narrated them, brought them to life, and it's actually an immersive video. The reason why we did that was to set forward the narrative that this is a tax. It was something that was shareable. It's on my X profile at Braden LOA. GOA has it. Everyone has it. Free license. The idea is you have to identify this as a tax, because when you do, it goes right through the Byrd rule. You get suppressors and short-barreled everything removed. That's why this is so crucial. So we're going to start calling our senators, and stay tuned on steps and next steps and actions. But that's how this is going to work. All right. Now let's get to the last timestamp, and I've got to actually, someone put in a good question here. So I'm going to go 525. Hold on a second. 525 timestamps should be in the description as well, by the way. All right, that's close enough. So someone just asked, where is the NRA in this whole process? So I can tell you candidly and honestly, from the inside, from conversations I've had, from all the grinding we did over the last 3 weeks, there have been 4 main groups involved in this heavily behind the scenes in DC. You got GOA, you got NRA, you got NSSF, and you got ASA, the American Suppressor Association. NRA, specifically to that question, NRA was involved in getting the Hearing Protection Act through that manager's amendment in the House. They were 100% involved. I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I know they were involved firsthand. So that's kind of the backstory. More will come out in the autopsy and the post-mortem once we get all this in, but that's kind of where it's at. So let's go to this next one, because this is where they start to drop the nukes from orbit from previous SCOTUS decisions, also from 100 years ago. Guys, this is the key. It is a tax. It is a tax. Spread it out. It's a tax. Watch this.
Federal excise tax on tanning salon beds in reconciliation, but not okay to strike the federal excise tax on suppressors and short-barreled firearms. Now, I've talked a lot about the NFA being a tax, but don't just take my word for it. You can listen to the Supreme Court say exactly that in the case Sonzinski versus United States. SCOTUS said in 1937, just 3 years after the NFA was signed into law, that on its face, the National Firearms Act of 1934 is only a taxing measure. They also said, every tax is in some measure regulatory, but a tax is not any less a tax because it has a regulatory effect, and has long been established that an act of Congress which on its face purports to be an exercise of the taxing power is not any the less so because the tax is burdensome or tends to restrict or suppress the thing taxed. And having a required payment of a transfer tax and registration as an aid in collection of that tax, Congress, under the taxing power, may reasonably impose a penalty on possession of an unregistered firearm. Clearly, the Supreme Court believes in Sonzinski that not only is the NFA a tax, but also that Congress is well within their power to tax firearms and punish those who don't pay their taxes. The reason the NFA has been upheld as constitutional for so long by so many different courts is that because those courts don't see it as primarily being against the Second Amendment. Instead, the courts view the NFA as Congress taxing the ownership of these specific firearms. This view is exactly what's going to help us remove suppressors and short-barreled firearms from the NFA, as it is primarily a tax, and it's part of Congress's power to decide taxes. All
right, that's the whole point. Guys, so just to lay this out for you, on the media front, my side, we've got the actual testimony from 1934 revived and brought back to life for your consumption, calling it a tax, and the entire idea was to circumvent the Second Amendment through a taxing scheme and regulation. Okay, we covered that. It's on my X profile at Braden LOA. GOA just put out that said that SCOTUS in 1937 said it's perfectly fine because it's a tax. All these other courts have confirmed that it's okay because it's a tax. All this work going into identifying it as a tax is going to be its ultimate undoing. The very monster that they built and the reason they were able to keep it alive is going to be the thing that's going to be able to kill it, which is why the Short Act and the Hearing Protection Act are so crucial in the Senate. We're going to start grinding. We're going to start having phone calls. We're going to start having emails. We're going to have targets. We're going to do everything. But that starts this week. Everything that they've built on us for the last 100 years is about to be used against them in this budgetary process. It's our job to keep it through, keep it grinding, and kick them right in the teeth with their own rules, of which they've been shoving down our throats like a spiked pear of anguish from the Middle Ages. Yeah, I said it, and it was accurate. All right, guys, let me hear you in the comments. Make sure you spread this one out, and I will see you on the next one. I love each and every one of you, just the right amount that makes you comfortable, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.